day to gain inspiration, to make a positive change in the nation. We're inviting you to partake in conversation, to raise your vibration. It's the day that we will all celebrate all of our peace that make this thing elevate. Watch the negative fade away, cause it's the day with Trae.
Grand Rising, everyone. Welcome to the Day with Trae. I'm your host, Trae Holiday. I get to welcome you to a Thank-Filled Thursday, of course. And I'm really excited, y'all, because today is December 5th, okay? And this is such a special day for me because I get to give my oldest son, my firstborn child, Amiri Bhavan Holiday, some love. He was born Onusalogu as his last name, and he said, I want to change it to y'all's last name. So I'm giving him all the love. Happy 19th birthday, son. I love you so much. And first of all, you were my very first inspiration. So when we talk about inspiration here on the Day with Trae, I gotta start with my first inspiration, my first baby boy. I love you dearly, and I'm so glad that we get to celebrate you today. But of course, I'm also glad because we have an amazing guest in the building in the Black Media Matter studios with me, y'all. Dr. Amy Zhe is an amazing public health epidemiologist who's going to be giving us some insight on some things that we need to be mindful of as we enter the winter season. Of course, y'all know it wouldn't be right for our last week this year to not bring y'all some amazing information that you all get to utilize right here from the Day with Trae. But of course, it's the top of the show. So this is where you get to join us. Go ahead and share this show with others who you feel could benefit from this daily dose of dopeness we work to give you here. And if you can't watch us, you can always listen to us, y'all, anywhere you find your favorite podcast. Just search Converge Media Network and the Day with Trae. You'll find me on your favorite platforms. Now, before I get into it with Dr. Amy here, I want to just tell y'all something that I am thankful for. Of course, we utilize this holiday season, as some folks will call it, or, we talk about Thanksgiving, gathering times, Friendsgiving. There's all these names, right? But ultimately, when you think about the ways that you get to dive in deep and reflect on things you're thankful for, I have been sharing some of the things that I'm thankful for, like my son, whose birthday it is today. But I'm also been telling y'all, thank y'all for joining us on this journey of the Day with Trae so we can continue to uplift inspiring stories. I've thanked the crew here at Converge Media for all of the work that they pour in and day out to make sure that these shows we bring y'all are jam-packed, full of amazing stories, and also topped well off with phenomenal production. But I also think that there's something to be said for our wider community. There's people that I've thanked over this season, like event planners who are always planning phenomenal events for community to participate in, for business owners opening up their businesses and allowing us to be intentional about where we spend our dollars. But I want to thank the youth. One of the things that I've been able to embark on this season is bringing some younger voices right here to the Black Media Matter studios, and it has been inspiring to hear from them. You got to see my youngest son, Johnny Dickerson, here in the Black Media Matter studios, as he was a part of Acts on Stage in the Teen Summer Musical this year, Snow White and the Seven. And he and several of his playmates, I guess, or cast members, they all got to be here and share how important it was for them to be a part of such a phenomenal cast. But when we think about youth and young voices, oftentimes there's not enough platforms that allow for young voices and voices of our elders to come together in space. And I've been able to experience this, y'all. And I'm telling you, Dr. Maxine Mims, who has transitioned this year in 2024, was a key pillar of our community who really thoroughly believed in giving young people a platform to share their voice and their stories. And I got to witness this so many times, not only with her just being in community, but also this intentional space she created every third Friday called Critical Conversations. And it was really a place to bring folks together, share the things that are going on so people could be informed, share upcoming events, and also share some amazing insight from experts who would join us from time to time. But this was a space where she said, look, everybody who's a part of the circle gets to participate. And I got to watch my youngest son, Johnny, I got to watch his eyes light up when he got the spotlight to speak about something that was important to him. And he thought, whoa, wait a minute. Normally I'm just here with my mom, but now it's my turn to speak. And she said, yeah, that's right, baby. You go ahead. You tell us what's important to you. And he started sharing, and it was so phenomenal because he was just being affirmed by his community. And there was something so special about that. So I'm encouraging you all, as we're wrapping up this season, think about those young folks in your lives. And when I was growing up, young folks really, they were like, go over there and play, right? Or get away from the big folks table, especially during amazing family gatherings. But I'll say, that there's something important about not only empowering young people to understand how to formulate their ideas around truth and facts and things that are tradition or culturally rooted for us, but also to give them the space, right, to truly listen to them, to understand what's important to them, and to dive in and pour into them in such a great way. So as I'm celebrating my oldest son today, I encourage you all to celebrate those young folks in your lives, the youth who are still figuring out who they are in this world. And as the world is ever evolving and changing, we have an opportunity to elevate and uplift them. So I'm encouraging you to take this Thank-Filled Thursday and think about all of those phenomenal youth in your world that you get to uplift. Well, after this short break, I get to uplift some great information from Dr. Amy Zhe, who's going to tell us all about the ways to keep ourselves healthy during this winter season. Y'all don't want to miss it. Stay tuned. You're watching The Day with Trae.
Back to the Future is coming to Seattle.
1955? If they don't meet, they won't fall in love, they won't get married, and neither you nor your siblings will ever be born.
Whoa, this is heavy. Experience the award-winning Best Musical, Back to the Future, at the Paramount Theater December 10th to 22nd. Get your tickets yesterday.
Confused about Medicare? Solid Ground statewide health insurance benefits advisor, Sheba, are well-trained volunteers who can help you understand your Medicare rights and options. It's free, unbiased, and confidential. We offer webinars and individual phone consultations. For more info, go to solid-ground.org/Medicare-info.
Hey, what's up, everyone? It's Trae Holiday. We're teaming up with Public Health Seattle and King County to remind you that back to school time means making sure your kids are up to date on their vaccinations. Public Health Seattle and King County is offering free back to school vaccine clinics for kids ages 0 to 18 all fall. You heard that right, free. No matter what your insurance situation is, they got you covered. Getting your kids vaccinated is the best way to protect them from serious diseases like measles, mumps, and whooping cough, and it's required for them to attend school or childcare. So call your health clinic pediatrician or doctor today to make sure your kids have all their required vaccinations. You can also visit kingcounty.gov/find-a-clinic to find a clinic near you. Let's work together to keep our kids healthy and in school. Peace.
There's something magical, alchemical about being an artist. Being able to create, mold, envision, enlighten. This is a wonderful task. That's why I do it. My name is Joyce J. Scott, and I'm having my 50-year retrospective Walk a Mile in My Dreams. Come on down.
Welcome back, y'all, to The Day with Trae. I'm your host, Trae Holiday. Joining me right now, we got Dr. Amy Zhe in the building. Hi.
Hi, Trae. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing great.
Well, I first got to ask about the get up. I mean, seriously, you come through all the way shining. Tell us a bit about what this represents, please.
Yeah. So I am a CDC Epidemic Intelligence Service officer, and I have the joy of serving King County and Seattle. And, beyond that, I'm also a commissioned officer in the U.S. Public Health Service, which basically means that the general I report to is the Surgeon General.
Whoa. I mean, now I promise you just blew my mind because I didn't realize that was a thing, right? So I'm like, oh, I got Dr. Amy here. And I'm thinking, okay, great. You're with public health. But in my mind, I'm not thinking it's service in that way. So that was great for you to be able to explain it to me. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Well, also, we know that winter brings on different things. I mean, we're talking about that shift in weather. We experience it a lot of times from spring to fall. But tell us about some of the things we really need to be mindful of as we enter the winter season.
Yeah, so we used to call winter season flu season, but now I think we have a few more germs on the block. We know we have COVID, we have whooping cough, we have RSV. And these are all things that are passed from person to person in the same way. So a sick person might breathe out air that's contaminated with one of those. And somebody who's healthy will breathe it in and they'll get sick too. So, yeah.
Sometimes I think about this and I will never forget seeing a commercial that showcased how far a sneeze spreads.
How far was it?
Very far. It was like, it was like 6 feet or something like that. It's like crazy. But in my mind, I'm like, oh my goodness, that is so true. And so ever since I seen that, I've been like, hey, cover it up. Did you cover that up? Did you cover that up? My kids know it's always like sneeze in your elbow, sneeze in your elbow. So tell us a bit about what we need to be doing to prepare ourselves, because these are a lot of airborne things that we may not know we're coming into contact with, right?
Yeah. So the best way to protect ourselves is to prepare our immune systems with vaccines. So we're very lucky that we actually have vaccines for all 4 of the bugs that I just mentioned. So we probably know about flu and COVID as annual vaccines that we get to boost our immune systems to get ready for the new flavor of that sort of virus each year. But then we also have RSV and whooping cough, which affect mostly our babies or young children or our elderly members of our community. And there's vaccines for people who are infants or children, who are pregnant, as well as people who are elderly.
So I have a question, because I feel like whooping cough did like a dip. It was like, it feels like it's coming back. Now everyone's talking about it. Is this true or is this in my head?
You are absolutely correct. Whooping cough, I wish I would have that image of those vintage, posters or something, with the syrup from the glass jars connected to that. But unfortunately, this year, 2024, we've seen as much whooping cough here as we have in the past 3 years combined. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Do we know what that's attributed to? Do we understand how this is coming back on the rise?
So whooping cough is caused by a bacteria called pertussis. And it is something that we got to really low levels with the Tdap vaccine. You maybe remember getting your kids to the pediatrician for their Tdap shots, and maybe some boosters too to qualify for school. So that covers tetanus, that's diphtheria, and pertussis, which should all, I think, be things that, could just stay in the history books and I would never mind. But, I don't know exactly what caused this rise, but I would like us to keep that in mind, is to keep on getting those vaccines, the Tdap vaccines, and making sure that you're up to date and that your pediatrician or that your primary doctor kind of has you on that schedule to give us the best protection against it.
Yeah, so it's interesting because I'm traveling soon internationally, and that's when I go, okay, there's like certain things I need to get, and let me make sure I'm up to date on things. But it was really interesting for me to see my immunization record, right? Like for me as an adult, and to go back and look at all of the different vaccines that I personally have gotten to make sure I'm covered, right?
Yeah.
And I remember as a young person, it was like chickenpox was something we were all just going to get, and it was going to get one time, and then we're going to be good with it. And so it's interesting because then like later on, as the science grows, so do the cures and the approaches to make sure we're covered in certain areas grows. So my kids, they never got chickenpox, right? Like it wasn't a thing then still. So it's really interesting because sometimes you go through this when you're like, my experience is what anchors me to a lot of this. And of course, we all, I think, have been in some way, shape, or form impacted by COVID because it just kind of hit us all by storm. So it's great to actually understand that there are vaccines that we can be getting to make sure we're covered in certain areas and at least getting our immune systems up. But when I also think about an epidemiologist, you're studying like epidemics. Tell us a bit about the study that you get to do in terms of how that's then helping when it comes to the connection of that and public health, like how they combine.
Sure. So I guess epidemiologists have various backgrounds. Some are microbiologists, some are physicians, some are veterinarians. But day to day, the work that we do is we monitor diseases in our communities. What's causing people to go get tested? What is putting people into the hospital? Sometimes people even get really sick and end up in the ICUs. And so what is that across time? And so we look at those and we see patterns. And then when there's a pattern saying we have, a lot more of this one thing that's making people sick, that is a cause for further investigation. And so that investigative work is something that I get to do. I think it is very interesting, and I hope that it's very impactful as well, to say, hey, it's not usual that this number of people suddenly all have this disease. Could it be this thing that they all went to? Could it be, this place that they all, or this common experience? And then how did it go from person to person? Or maybe it wasn't even person to person. Maybe they touched the same surface. Maybe it went through an animal. So these are all factors that I get to think about in my day-to-day work as an epidemiologist.
Gosh. So, y'all are really studying a lot there, Dr. Amy. And kudos to you and everyone else you work with, because y'all are studying that to bring that information out to the public so that we can be aware. But there are some instances, and we've seen these, right, where it is a certain place maybe, or you're able to pinpoint a direct common point that then you have to figure out how to make sure the public is aware of that place, and also whoever the owner is. Tell us a bit about that kind of the connection to all of that, because there's a lot that has to be involved to get the communication out so we all know what's going on, right?
Yeah, so all the work that you just described, it definitely takes a village, because public health Seattle King County is a lot of people, and a lot of people all working in service of the community. So I think that for winter respiratory season, the important thing is that it's so prevalent that it's not just a specific time or place. That so many people have it at one point in time, that going to a gathering with people, going on a plane to go visit your family, these are all things that can confer risk of catching something. So I would kind of veer more towards, what are some things that we can proactively do to keep ourselves and our families and our friends all safe. And I think of that as, first of all, if you feel under the weather, stay home. Yeah. That is one thing that we can all do to protect everyone around us. It could be a little something, it could be nothing, it could have a name, it could be undiagnosed, but whatever it is, probably the people around you don't want it.
Yeah.
So that's for starters. And then as far as taking care of our bodies, maintaining good hygiene practices, and then paying attention to airflow. is something that I don't think people tend to think about. But when you think about the way that the viruses are spreading through the air, it kind of makes sense. In winter, it might be colder and we might have the windows closed, and the air circulating might be, going through the same, heating, going out, people breathing in and out cycles. So to be outdoors and have activity there, or to be like well ventilated, especially when there's a lot of different people around. Those are things to think about.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned sleep because I'm someone who I really got to work on it, right? My sleep schedule. And I think oftentimes people don't recognize how lack of sleep means that your body is trying to do a lot of things to overcompensate, right? Essentially for the lack of sleep. And so when we think about the different pressures that we're putting on our immune system, that is one. So I'm glad that you said it because I was going to ask, just for me, inquiring mind needs to know. But these are all really great things that we can be mindful of. And I know, so many people are still like, look, when I go on a plane, I'm still masking up. I just feel more comfortable doing that. I feel safer. And I think we did learn a lot through the COVID kind of epidemic of not only the importance of washing our hands and, masking up and being mindful about, coughing and just certain things that was like, oh yeah, no, we're not handshaking. We're like elbowing, right? There were certain things that we did that we learned throughout that time that was really about protecting ourselves. Now, of course, Seattle Public Health in King County, there's a lot of different resources out there. Let's give the folks some of the ways that they can make sure they're doing this and get connected to this information they need to be healthy during the winter season.
Sure. So finding those vaccines is usually not that hard. There's flu and COVID usually advertised at pharmacies, grocery stores, doctors' offices. And then we have the Tdap, which covers the whooping cough, as well as RSV vaccines, usually in clinics that serve younger patients or older patients. So getting a visit to go see your primary doctor, that could be a one-stop shop to getting caught up in everything that you need. In terms of finding places to get just the vaccine, Public Health does have some resources. They are luckily all located on a website, kingcounty.gov/find-a-clinic.
Wow. Dr. Amy Jia, thank you so much for being here and for the work you're doing to keep us all safe when these things arise. We need to know where to get the resources and the information and how to keep ourselves safe. Thank you so much for the work you're doing.
Honor. Yes.
Wow. Wow, y'all, who knew that it was literally like public health service? I mean, she's here in full regalia, and I am so excited because I got to learn something and also share that learning with all of you. Of course, I get to wrap it all up right after this short break. Stay tuned. You're watching The Day with Trae.
Empowering the community one connection at a time. ConnectWA is your partner in finding the support you need. Download the app today and experience the difference that a connected community can make. Learn more at eec-wa.org/ConnectWA-app.
A world of wonder awaits at Pacific Northwest Ballet's The Nutcracker. Treat your loved ones to the Northwest's favorite holiday tradition at Seattle Center's McCall Hall. Visit pnb.org.
Disney and Cameron Mackintosh's Mary Poppins comes to life on stage at the Fifth Avenue Theatre, featuring Step in Time and Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. Make it a jolly holiday at Mary Poppins. For tickets, visit fifthavenue.org.
MLK Lobby Day brings the power of community voices to Olympia. Join Poverty Action as we advocate for policies that will clear the way out of poverty and tell legislators what is most important to you. Save the date, January 20th, 2025. Sign up to stay updated at povertyaction.com/newsletters.
Ready to be intentional with your spending? Whether you're gifting it or using it for yourself, the Buy Black card allows you to shop at many different Black-owned businesses across the greater Seattle area, like Love a Latte, Dramer Ice Cream, Motis Beauty Supply, Pizza by Ruffin, The Spa House by Queen Care, and so many more. You can see the full list of participating businesses when you sign up for your Buy Black card at intentionalist.com. And thanks to our friends at BECU, you'll save 20% when you load your card. Spend like it matters with the Buy Black card.
Welcome back, y'all, to the Day with Trae. I'm your host, Trae Holiday. Huge shout out to my guest today, Dr. Amy Jia, making sure that we know exactly how to stay healthy and well during this winter season. And I'm telling y'all right now, when we talk about fighting the air, I mean, some of this stuff is in the air. So it's definitely on us to make sure that we're doing everything we can to be healthy and keep those around us healthy. Now, I started off talking about young folks. And when we think about whooping cough affecting young people, this is coming back, y'all. It's back on the rise. So make sure, if you are someone who is, a parent, you are raising a young person, please make sure that they are being cared for and getting all they need to be safe. This is real. And I'm telling you, I'm just thinking about all the things that could be in the air. We already got to deal with all the different particles that we may not know about, but we can see in a microscope. These germs are out there too. So be careful, y'all, during this winter season. I'm so grateful to Dr. Amy for being here so we can also utilize a part of our last week in 2024 to bring you some insightful information that we can all use. Thanks so much for watching, y'all. I'm going to wrap up 2024 tomorrow with y'all. And until then, at 11 a.m., peace. Converge Media produces culturally relevant content for Black and urban audiences. Our coverage is raw, transparent, and objective, praised by community leaders, government officials, and residents. Support Converge Media today via Venmo, Cash App, or PayPal at Converge Media.